Call the meeting to order. Misty, would you call the roll, please?
Sorry. David Burris.
Here.
Wes Grimes.
Present.
J.R. Huddleston.
Here.
Deborah Johnston. Here. Bill Lukens.
Here.
Larry Pratt.
Here.
Craig Romey.
Present.
Caitlin Turner.
Here.
Thank you.
Would you join me in the pledge of allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As always, remember about any conflict of interest. Let the council know. If there's an agenda item that you need to recuse yourself from. Need a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion to approve the minutes from the July 6th council meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 6th council meeting.
I have a change on that. There's a typo.
Okay, let's go ahead and get it approved for discussion, and then we'll hear what you have to say.
Second.
Dave.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
We need to have discussion. I apologize for that. Go ahead,
Yes.
Deborah.
Under committee reports and the Airport Advisory Committee, it says not planning for upcoming balloon festival, and I think it should say now, I would hope. Now they're planning for upcoming balloon festival? Or not?
No, the committee was not planning. There is going to be a balloon festival, but the committee was not planning on any associated activities.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Should I clarify not planning any associated activities for the upcoming balloon festival to clarify, or is it okay?
That may be a good clarification.
Because it makes it sound like we're not having it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Anyone else? All right, we'll move on. Need a motion on the bills in between, please?
Make a mo. Go ahead, Caitlin.
I make a motion to approve the bills in between for the amount of $227,878.08.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion for the current claims, please?
Make a motion to approve current claims for $67,927.14.
Second motion.
Discussion?
I have a question. Page 1, swimsuit, $1,096.97 for 161 pair of men's swim trunks. In the middle of the summer, do you think we should be buying that many swimsuits? They'll sell them?
They sell them. They mark them up and sell them. They're items for resale. They don't carry
I
a
know that.
significant amount of inventory. Yes, I think the purchase is fine.
Okay. Oh, I know.
They're open year round, so, and it is hard to find swim trunks anywhere else here in town, so.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're about 6 minutes away from our first public hearing. Let's go ahead and pick off what we can from the rest of the agenda. Could we get a motion to approve the 2 personnel actions?
I make a motion to approve personnel action items A through B.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Could I ask a quick question? Did we do an exit interview with Nathan Crummett?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on into the committee reports. First one is Administrative and Finance, and Caitlin, probably have to stop you in 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and get started.
All right, we met July 13th, 1 p.m. at the City Hall. Present were myself, Mayor Nelson, Bill Lukens, our City Finance Officer, City Administrator, Deborah Johnston, and Chris Hansen. In old business, we discussed the surplus property update. We are removing that from our agenda and bouncing that over to Planning and Zoning for some guidance with an RFP. So hopefully we see that soon. We discussed the Evans Plunge bond refunding, and we were recommending that we do pass the resolution, which Ms. Disney working on for us. We can choose not to use it later if we wish, but if the shoulder season goes well, we may not have to. In new business, we discussed the Lifeguard Bonus for the Evans Plunge employees as well. You'll see that on this agenda. The Admin Finance Committee does recommend it. It's just the date change, extending the dates. We discussed the adding sidewalk funds to the 501 fund now. That is also on the agenda. That was discussed with Misty, and we recommend requesting the funds now, which is why it's on the agenda. And I think that's all. The next meeting will be August 10th at 1 p.m. Did I miss anything, Bill? Rob?
Next one is Airport Advisory Committee. Bill, you're on the clock. We're at 7:07.
We can make it. The next Airport Advisory Committee meeting is Thursday, July 30th, 8 a.m. at the airport.
All right. Well, that puts the Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management folks on the clock. We're almost at 7:08. You folks will find on your agenda tonight a resolution to appoint Larry to that board. After I had asked John Gregory to be on that board, they notified us that it has to be an elected official and it has to be via resolution. So that's the reason that it's on tonight. John, would you like to get us started?
Larry was at the meeting.
Larry's going to do that? All right. Larry, you're up.
I want to give John Gregory the kudos for this when he's showing me the ropes here, so I appreciate it. The scheduled meeting convened at 7 p.m. at the Mueller Center. Present were all of the existing and newly appointed board members except Buffalo Gap. Deputy Treasurer Starla Russell, Landfill Manager Carrie Barker, FMG Engineering Rep Jason Hines, and Hot Springs City Administrator John Gregory. The meeting included the regular presentation of Treasurer's Report, the Landfill Manager's Report, and Landfill Engineering of the Consultant's Report. This was followed by an annual board meeting for the elections of officers, whereas Mike Lindy of Custer County was elected to fill the vacant chairman's position. All other board officers and business interests remained the same as the previous year's election. The meeting adjourned at 7:45 p.m. and the next meeting of the Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management District is scheduled for September 10th at 7 p.m. at the Mueller Center, Civic Center in Hot Springs.
Thank you. So we're just under a minute before the first public hearing at 7:10. So again, thank you. Well, we're going to be up at 7:10. Dave just reminded me that I jumped past Drinking Water Excellence Awards and communications from the public. So thank you for that. It's going to take a while to find the correct rhythm for getting these things done. So I hope you'll indulge me as I get indoctrinated into that. All right, it's 7:10. So we'll go ahead and do the first public hearing. That's a variance request from John Culbertson, J&R Builders, Clubhouse Drive, Block 9 subdivision. Come on up and tell us what we need to know.
Trying to get a variance approved to place his home.
John, if we could have you go over to the microphone, please.
I'm good at this. Not very good at it either. Anyway, we want to place that home in a spot on the property. The property is really an odd shape, and it's a lot of variances in elevation on it. We're trying to place the home closer to the golf course end, mainly so we can keep the costs down as far as getting a driveway and keep the driveway from getting too steep. Wintertime, it's going to be dangerous.
All right.
I guess that's about it.
Scott?
Are you John Culbertson?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Scott, this has been through planning and zoning, and what are you folks recommending?
We recommended it pass, had no issues with it.
All right. Does the council have any questions for John?
I have one question for you, John. The back 9 has I'm assuming has a property owners association set of covenants.
Yes.
Does it have a paragraph regarding errant golf balls?
I haven't seen that. You talking about liability if a golf ball hits a house?
Yeah, like Boulder Falls has a paragraph that regarding errant golf balls. It says owners of lots, particularly lots abutting the golf course, acknowledge the inherent risk of errant golf balls and assume and accept such risk. Owners acknowledge and accept the risk that golfers may attempt to retrieve errant golf balls from lots, and each owner agrees to release and waive any claims owners may have as a result of such retrieval. And I guess being that close, you're assuming the risk of getting your house whacked and that you may have people coming on your property.
Yeah, we talked to the city and also the owners. I haven't read that in the covenants, but it is covered somewhere along the line, where it's the city is not going to be responsible for broken windows or whatever.
So I know if people like myself golf, that 68 yards is an easy slice.
Yes.
And my copy was a little, I think the required setback is 15 feet. Is that right, Scott?
The required setback, the question is if it's a side yard or a rear yard, actually. But it will be set at 15 feet.
And it's 25 for rear.
There's a patio back there. It's 8 foot deep, 20 feet high, 20 foot long.
Okay.
And that's the reason for the variance. I mean, the house itself is sitting 15 feet back, but the patio is not.
Okay. Thank you.
Bill, it says on the back here about that stuff, golf balls and stuff.
Yeah, I saw the note from Jason. I just and I assumed that the back 9 had a similar set of covenants as Boulder Falls, but wasn't sure.
Any other questions? All right.
Has any discussion been with any of the property owners around it as far as blocking their views or anything like that?
Yeah, I sent out letters. I sent out certified letters to anyone that's within 200 feet of the property line.
is there any responses or?
No, I didn't have any responses.
Okay.
Nothing written or anything. I mean, I talked to a couple of the owners, and they don't have a problem. And the letters were sent out about 2 weeks ago.
The ones you talked to were pretty accepting of the idea?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, well, we need a motion to either approve, disapprove, or table the variance request.
Make a motion, we approve the variance request.
I'll second.
I'll abstain.
All right. Any other questions? Any other discussion? All in favor? Good.
Do we need to ask if anyone in the audience is?
Okay. Anybody in the audience? Have any concerns about this request for variance? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any communications from the public that would fit in about 5 minutes? I'm trying to give us a little more time for Drinking Water Excellence Awards. That may take a few minutes, may take more than the 4 minutes we got in front of us. Deborah, how do you feel about starting on your downtown historic preservation
Okay, I can do 5 minutes.
report until we get to the 7:20 minute mark?
There was no meeting this month, but I would like to take this time to make my intentions known going forward as the new chair to this commission. Chapter 32, Historic Preservation Ordinances, are in the process of being updated. The Hot Springs Historic District Design Guidelines were written in 1995, and I think the ordinances were written before those. As they stand at present, the ordinance governing body powers 32.03 states that the City Council is empowered to provide by regulations, special conditions, or restrictions for the protection, enhancement, preservation, and use of the designated historic properties. Such regulations, special conditions, or restrictions may include appropriate and reasonable control of the use and/or appearance of adjacent or associated private property within the public view, or both. They also state acquisition of historic easements that the city may acquire by purchase, donation, or condemnation, historic easements to any structure or site within the city, having first determined that such acquisition will be in the public interest. Historic easement is defined as any easement, restriction, covenant, or condition running with the land designated to preserve, maintain, or enhance all or part of the existing places of historical, architectural, archaeological, or cultural significance. And then the third one I want to bring forward is the deterioration by neglect ordinance. Any property owner permitting deterioration by willful neglect of any designated historic property or any property within an established historic district shall be punished as provided by 10.99, which is a municipality's authorized to provide for punishment of each violation of an ordinance, resolution, or regulation with a fine not to exceed the amount established by codified laws, which is a Class 2 misdemeanor, 30 days imprisonment in county jail or $500 fine or both. So additionally, as per the 7th Judicial Circuit Court judgment that came down in the City of Hot Springs versus Hot Springs City Citizens of Progress, it was finally filed June 26th of 2020, and it decreed meeting at the West Oak building.
Deborah,
Yeah,
we're at the 7:20 public hearing time.
okay.
We'll have you pick back up once we get through the second variance. So we have a variance request from Wally Cottrell, 106 Valley View Avenue, lot 25 of the replatted Valley View. Wally? What do you got for us?
Okay, so when I asked for it, because my property we got the pie shape and the hills behind, before there was the trailer, which one has met use, and I got to destroy the one because it wasn't usable. So try to put any kind of building, which one is square footage for the city. I try to get the variance so I can move a little bit closer to on the one side to the street. And to do that one, that's depends on you, if you approve that one. So it's going to be something to approve the community.
Scott, same question for you. This has been through planning and zoning, and what's their recommendation? There's a bottle of sanitizer up there also.
Sorry. The lot is narrow, it's got a big hill in the back, and the planning and zoning approved it after discussion. And we looked at it in such a way that it would be consistent with the rest of the houses and what is expected. It's an unusual lot, and what was there before is a mobile home, so he took the mobile home out in pieces and is proposing to build a 30 by 60 residence.
Council, do you have any questions?
I do. How, as far as setback and stuff, I went out and looked, took a tape measure, I did some construction. On that corner, it says that the rock wall encroaches the street by 3 feet, 3 inches. And it looks like the edge of the building is going to kind of go back from that point, so I did some measurements. And a 30-foot building, it's like 39 feet from that point to the very edge of where the hill starts going pretty steeply.
Right. He's
Yeah.
left just enough to go on the back. Wally and I spoke about that. He told me how he came up with this design, and he'll have just enough across the back to be able to maintain the property. Like
Okay, but
8
how
feet or
close to
something.
the street will he'll be, at 30 feet building, there's 9 feet to divide between the street and the back of the house.
Well, I don't know how that was measured for sure, but I think the wall does encroach by 1.3, so 15 inches. But the wall and the house aren't the same line either. But he's left enough room to be able to maneuver and work the land behind it and control the property and
Is it
drainage.
going to cut into that wall anymore to get more space?
The building is going to be sort of back. Not edge, whatever you measure. You measure on the hand, you observe it back.
Because it just seems like the building is going to be like right on top of the road there.
Well, according, do you have pictures too?
I just have the drawings and what's in my, oh yeah, there's pictures, yes.
So you'll be set behind the wall, obviously, won't you, Wally?
Yeah, we're going to be behind the wall.
Yeah,
Wall-
I kind of figured that.
Yeah, wall is in the street, the.
Sure.
Right, yeah. They make the wall, after they make the city, after the wall was built.
But if you look at the picture, the cement wall and that water meter down on the ground, it's actually in the street or next to the street. It's in the street proper.
But he's not going to build on the wall. He's going to build
No,
behind the
it,
wall.
I realize that. I realize that. But supposedly 3 feet of that wall actually goes out into the street proper. So I'm just wondering how he's going to fit a 30-foot wide building in that space without having the building like 4 foot from that wall.
Apparently, the building is going to be about 10 feet from the wall.
10 feet from the
Yeah,
wall?
but you're looking for the end of the wall.
Okay.
It's going to be a little setback.
So it'll be set back at least 10 feet?
Depends how the pipes go. Hard to say for me, the 10 feet or 8 feet, maybe 12 feet.
Yeah.
That would be the closest point then.
I'm just thinking at that farthest point where it comes closest to the road. That's what I'm concerned about. Because then there's another property that I just went up for sale today, I think. Right past that cement wall, just a few feet, there's a gate. And so that property's for sale, so.
Everybody get letter? Anybody come?
Okay.
No.
All right.
Is that gate city limits?
Yeah, my building is the last one to have a city street on a building in the city limit. His property is heading to the street. The street is ended on our property.
Yeah, it's kind of the dead end of the,
So that-
of the street is that gate.
That green gate begins county property?
On the Torch Highway, not behind. Behind us is still city.
I have. I don't know what you have.
That property is still on the plat, so I don't know if that's city limits or not on this plat.
Any other council members have questions for Wally? My understanding of the request, Wally, is recognizing that it used to have a mobile home.
Yes.
But you're asking for a variance to put a home.
Yeah, how the whole house gonna look 8, 10 feet wide and 7 feet long.
Right.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to make it looks a little bit modern.
Right. Recognizing that there are limitations with the lot, and that's why you're asking for the variance,
Yes.
is to allow a home to go back in where a mobile home once was.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
And
you.
the lot is pie shape. So I have a plenty of space in the front, but kind of around out the end. So it's not going to be to the end because the end's got to be driveway. So whatever the lady talking about, that's going to be driveway. It's not going to be house.
Does anyone else have questions for Wally?
Hey, Wally?
Yeah.
Was the wall there before the road or the road before the wall, you know?
Wall before the road.
So whoever built the road should not have built it that close. I mean,
There was an annex after there was everything built. It was built in the 70s, and the annex was what, 2010 or 5?
The land kind of drops off precipitously on the other side too, so it's kind of the only space that was available.
so there was no ordinances up there back then when the wall and stuff was put in the road.
It was owned by the one person, so he did whatever he wanted.
All right. Any more questions? All right. Well, then we need a motion to either approve, disapprove, or table.
I move that we approve this variance.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Good luck, Wally.
Thank you.
All right. I'll try to get us back on track with the Drinking Water Excellence Awards. Tracy, you out there?
Yep, here I am.
Do you have any of the other folks?
One of them, they're still hauling material from the Garden Street Stand by.
All right.
You want me to come up?
Yep, come on up. We'll maintain our social distance.
Yeah.
On June 26th, the City of Hot Springs received a Secretary's Award for Drinking Water Excellence from the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. So I'd like to read a portion from that. Congratulations to you from DENR. For 17 consecutive years, the City of Hot Springs Public Water System has met the requirements for the Safe Drinking Water Act and the State of South Dakota's regulations. 17 consecutive years of supplying safe drinking water to the public is a remarkable achievement. It is our pleasure to present to you the Secretary's Award for Drinking Water Excellence that recognizes your system and the system's operations specialists that have demonstrated excellence in water system management and maintenance. Thank you for all you have done these past 17 years to maintain safe drinking water for your consumers. Sincerely, Mark S. Mayer, PE Administrator, Drinking Water Program. So this first certificate is the Secretary's Award for Drinking Water Excellence 2019. By virtue of the authority vested in me after due consideration, I do hereby certify that the City of Hot Springs, through extra concern and endeavor, has met all state requirements for safe drinking water and has supplied 17 consecutive years of safe drinking water to the public it serves. Thank you. So the rest of these, that goes with that. The rest of these are the individual recognition for the folks that work with the water system. This one's for Tracy. They all read the same. Again, June 26th, Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Dear Tracy, congratulations to you from DNR. You are a system operations specialist of a public water system that has met the requirements of the Safe Drinking Water Act and the State of South Dakota's regulations for supplying safe drinking water to the public. For your efforts and concern for safe drinking water, we would like to present this achievement award to you. This program was initiated by the Drinking Water Program to reward those systems and their system operations specialists that have demonstrated excellence in water system management and maintenance. Thank you for your interest in maintaining safe drinking water for your customers. Again, Mark Mayer, Administrator Drinking Water Program.
George?
Thank you for that. Is Sean here?
He's still driving truck.
Okay. Same letter, same recognition. Not over here? Well, we'll acknowledge him anyway. Mike Parmalee. Gordon Wentman. Tad Harder. And Peter Mills. And my personal thank you on behalf of the city. Appreciate all that you folks are doing for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Deborah, I interrupted you when you were your comments.
Additionally, as per the 7th Judicial Circuit Court judgment in the City of Hot Springs versus the Hot Springs Citizens for Progress, filed June 26, 2020, it gave us a lot more bite than what the city, I believe, understood they had a few months, like last winter. It says that the West Oak building at 717 North River Street is a public nuisance based on the structure's dilapidated and unsafe conditions. The city has the right to enter and secure this property. It has the right to enter the property to abate the nuisance by any manner it deems appropriate, including making any repairs to abate the nuisance and/or demolition of the structure by removing the structure and foundation. The city has the right to enter the property to abate the nuisance by disposing of any debris, trash, unauthorized equipment, and any vehicles, personal property, junk vehicles, and any other items deemed part of the nuisance and/or found on the property. It's through the Historic Preservation Commission I would like to start the conversation and process of enforcing these ordinances that I just brought forth by sending certified letters to the owners of these buildings and requesting a report of their plans and timeline for maintaining their properties. 7 buildings come to mind just at the top of the list. Penalties would begin if these timelines were not met. Penalties should go towards any legal fees incurred by the city. I'm asking for your support in enforcing these ordinances that we have on our books so that we can preserve the jewels that make Hot Springs the unique place that it is. Thank you. The Historical Preservation Commission meeting is August 5th at 5 p.m., I believe, at the library.
When you talk about sending letters out and that particular part of your conversation, I want to stress that those letters need to come through the city, through the council, and not directly from the Historic Preservation.
Right.
I don't want to have an appearance of 2 different bodies that are telling the citizens what they should be doing with their historic property. So that would be my request to you folks, is communicate with the city. And hold us accountable for those, but they need to come through the city.
Yeah, through the Historic Preservation, we would then go through Public Works Department or whatever you deem necessary and then approved by us.
All right, thank you. Evans Plunge Advisory, Larry?
The meeting started at 12 o'clock. Present at the meeting were Chris Hansen, Kathy Henry, Tom Naz, John Gregory, and myself. Mr. Gregory talked about public access trail improvements and also the volunteer group from Hawaii who were interested in cleaning up the river behind the Evans Plunge. Introduction of the new council liaison. Review of Phase 1 reopening on June 15th showed good positive response with some minor glitches. A discussion of what Phase 2 would look like with an increase in the number of people, swimmers to 122, 125, possible up to 175 if there are no spikes in COVID cases. There was an increase in sales at the concessions and the gift shop. What was stated was there was more sales in the gift shop, blankets, towels, jewelry, t-shirts, food items, things like that. So in response to what we were talking about. The meeting ended at 12:48. The next meeting is scheduled on August 13 at 12 noon.
Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
Parks, Recreation, Beautification, Cultural Development, Wes?
We haven't had a meeting yet, but our next meeting is scheduled for August 5th, I believe, at 1 o'clock. Everyone's welcome.
Will that be at the Mueller Center?
I believe they've been at the City Hall, haven't they? No, they've been
At
here.
the Mueller Center.
We'll just keep them here then.
Okay.
Thank you, Wes. Planning and Zoning Commission, Caitlin?
We met 7 p.m. on Wednesday, July 15th at City Hall. Present were myself, Mayor Nelson, Councilwoman Deb Johnston, commission members Don Olstad, Allison Ritterbush, Joni Hill, James Forboard, Wayne Higman, Scott was present, and a member of the public. We discussed a setback variance for the Burkholt property. The commission does recommend that we go ahead with that. You'll see it on an upcoming agenda. We also discussed and are doing some further work on zoning amendments for the Planning Commission guidelines modifications. We talked as well about the building regulations. Scott is working on that, and that's something that we'll be looking at in the future. We also discussed the Armory RFP. Scott will be working that for us, and hopefully we'll be seeing that in the future at the council. Our next meeting is August 19th, 7 p.m. at City Hall.
Thank you, Caitlin. Public safety, Bill, John?
Public safety met on Wednesday, July 15th, 1 p.m. at City Hall. Present were Mayor Nelson, myself, JR, Larry, John Gregory, Captain Wayman, Lori Sherrard as safety coordinator, Frank Maynard, Fall River County Emergency Manager, and Trenton Halfley, who is the South Dakota Game, Fish, and Parks Regional Terrestrial Resource Supervisor. Under old business, we reviewed the various discussions that have been held regarding the funding of the school resource officer. Secondly, the police department's waiting on a third bid for the new police car markings. John provided us an update on the City Hall and Police Department front desk security. Public Safety is recommending that the front door replacement at City Hall, along with alarm buttons at both City Hall and the Police Department, be installed. Trenton Halfley with South Dakota Game, Fish, and Parks provided information regarding the deer population survey process and the criteria needed for harvesting. The committee also reviewed the proposed revisions to Title IX, Chapter 95, nuisances regarding the declaration of emergencies and also the addition of a noise section. That proposed ordinance revision is in the information-only side of your packet. The declaration of emergencies portion is a near verbatim version that was provided by our insurance carrier's legal team. Regarding the use on review permits for daycare, Public Safety will be compiling a package of information and forms to be submitted by applicants along with the use permit. Under new business, the committee reviewed a markup of the area of Butler Park that will be included in the agreement with South Dakota Department of Wildland Fire. Frank Maynard was also present for that discussion and informed us that the county is also generating similar agreements with South Dakota Wildland Fire for access and use of various county resources. Captain Wayman provided an update of departmental activities. Departmental members will be getting hepatitis A and B vaccinations as recommended as a result of our recent insurance review. During our meeting, it was also recommended that the animal control officer also receive the rabies preventative vaccination. No fireworks citations needed to be issued during the July 4th holiday and the allowable fireworks period. The department did receive a number of positive comments regarding officer visibility during that period. The department received a $2,500 donation for the 2020-2021 DARE program from Bison Threads and Sweets. This donation fully funds the DARE program for the school year, and we once again want to thank Greg and Christy for their support and generosity. In June, our officers responded to 516 calls. Lori Sherrard requested a smart TV be purchased for the city shops so that safety videos could be streamed instead of ordering DVDs. By accessing streaming videos, they'll have access to a greater variety of videos and will also save some money on shipping costs. The committee supports the request, and a smart TV will be purchased from the small tools budget. Lori also brought forward a potential safety hazard caused by some large trees on the state right-of-way at the 740 Indianapolis address. The trees impair visibility of vehicles leaving the water fill station, and we'll be working with South Dakota DOT to address this issue with the property owner. Mayor Nelson asked that the police department get some estimates for roof repairs for the police department roof. John informed the group that the school zone signs have been ordered for the 20th Street 20th Street, and 3 more crosswalk signs have been ordered to replace those that have been damaged by vehicles. The call-out procedure for placement of barricades was discussed. Our meeting ended at 3:30 p.m. and the next meeting will be Wednesday, August 19th, 1 p.m. at City Hall.
Thank you, Bill and JR. It's going to take a while to play JR rather than John. I understand it's confusing, so we'll make every effort to get it right.
Did I forget anything, JR?
No, sir.
Larry?
Public Works, Dave and Craig.
Last meeting was Thursday, July the 16th. Normally they are on a Tuesday, but I did have eye procedure done on Tuesday, and so we postponed until Thursday. Those that were present at the meeting were Bob Nelson, the mayor, John Gregory, Tracy Bastian, Craig Romey, myself, Billy Morrow, and I did not catch Ryan's last name that day, so we did have a homeowner there. We had approximately 60 different items on the agenda for that day. Meeting went till 4:30, or 5:30, excuse me. We broke them down into departments, beginning with street maintenance. I will not go through all of them for you, I'll do you a big favor. Garden Street, widening and improvement, as you heard earlier, that is still going on tonight as they're finishing up. We touched on different pavement markings that will be done. Crosswalks will be done first, as soon as we're done with Garden Street and bridge comes out. And remember that tomorrow is the first day of closure for the Jennings Bridge. Valley View drainage issues were discussed. Sulphur Springs wall backfill, that was pretty much done. Asphalt pavement repairs priority list, we went through that. Utilities department, Mueller Center, the air conditioning that we are presently enjoying, that was under discussion for the installation. State USA pressure issues, that is in progress. Asphalt pavement repairs, sewer and priority list, that was discussed. Automatic meter reading, we were looking into that. Moving on, code enforcement. We have a couple of things that we're moving along on. One would be mobile food vendors over by the three-way stop there in front of Dale's old restaurant and the Plunge. We're working on our parking issues and continuing to work on the ordinance for that. We discussed ordinance violations on Evans Street. Vault demolition is pretty much up to date. Discussed that. Spring cleaning, hot springs up to date. That will be September through October, but I did not write down the dates for that. I apologize. John, would you have those?
No, sir.
Okay. Other nuisance properties were discussed. Other building permit issues were discussed. We discussed a request from Recreation Director. New business, vacant structures and registration, VA rock removal from the creek that is moving forward. Channel improvements were discussed. Scrap steel, we didn't get there. And there was a couple of other things as new business that we ran out of time and did not touch on. Old business, we discussed Fall River water users contract at Jennings Bridge construction, that we just spoke of. Suspended sidewalk, updated on that. Canton Avenue workforce and housing at Holt Homes. Meeting with Simons, we're quarry owners. And brush pile still growing, which we discussed a little bit. And that's pretty much it. Next committee meeting will be scheduled for July 28th. at 1 p.m. at City Hall. Anybody is welcome to join.
A 4.5-hour meeting and you ran out of time?
Yeah, I think everybody, well, after the first 2.5 hours, I think we took a 10-minute break.
Yes.
Proceeded.
John built a 10-minute break into the agenda.
Yes, and I thank you for that.
All right. Dave, Greg, thank you.
Greg, did you want to touch on anything that I might have stepped over?
I didn't bring any notes, so I don't.
Okay, all right.
Southern Hills Economic Development did not meet due to COVID. The Southern Hills Golf Course Advisory Committee, next meeting will be August 10th at 1 o'clock. So that brings us into our resolutions. A motion for Resolution 2020-22. A resolution amending Resolution 2020-9. That was passed on March 2nd, 2020. Need a motion for that one, please.
I'll make a motion. That resolution, amending Resolution 2020-9, that was passed March 22nd, 2020, authorizing the issuance of sales tax revenue refunding bonds of the EPM as purchase debt be approved.
Second.
Discussion? This is about putting the position, or the city in a good position, depending on how the Evans Plunge season goes, to roll this year's payment into the sales tax revenue refunding that you previously approved. At least puts us in a position that we can do that. It doesn't require us to do that, but makes it easier for us to do that. Did I misstate that, Misty?
No, you didn't. That's correct.
Okay.
And there's still a savings. I did an analysis for you and summarized it in the memo to answer your question from the last meeting.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Takes us to item B, 2020-23, a resolution authorizing submission of application for Bridge Improvement Grant Program. That's the Dakota Bridge. Need a motion on that one, please?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve 2020-23 Bridge Improvement Grant Program Resolution authorizing submission of applicants.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next resolution, 2020-24, a resolution declaring support and adoption of the Fall River County Hazard Mitigation Plan for 2020. Any motion for that, please?
I'll make a motion, 2020-24, a resolution declaring support and adoption of the Fall River County Hazard Mitigation Plan 2020.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Our next resolution is 2020-25, a resolution appointing Ward 1 Alderman Larry Pratt to the Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management District Board of Commissioners. I spoke a little bit about that.
I make a motion we approve resolution 2020-25 for Larry to be on the board.
Second.
Discussion?
I will correct the mayor's name on the resolution.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Our last resolution, 2020-26, a resolution to amend citywide fee resolution to reduce airport fuel per gallon rate from $4.75 to $4.35. A motion on that, please?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-26, a resolution to amend citywide fee resolution to to reduce airport fuel per gallon rate from $4.75 to $4.35 per gallon.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I got a little question here. I guess I'm kind of curious, do we just have a set rate we're working off from here? Because the price is going up, it ain't going down, so I just want to make sure that we're still covered with the price here. I mean, I guess my question is, do we have a margin that we typically work with on our airport fuel? Okay, I guess I don't know why we have to do a resolution to change the price each time.
Go ahead, Misty.
Great questions. We don't have a set margin or policy. When we purchased the fueling system, the price had been set at $4.75 for years prior. We just purchased fuel. The price was less than what we're selling it at. The discussion regarding fees being set by resolution was one that was had in 2019. We passed at the beginning of the year a fee resolution to set all city fees and rates by resolution. So there's consistency and guidance for new council members and the public on our rates. And this fee is one that's been specifically discussed with auditors and at committee meetings since we purchased the fueling station, and the best way to manage the rate that we charge is something that's still being worked on. We have some various opinions about setting the rates to be the lowest or the highest or the middle. And so this, and I'll let Bill talk about this too because he looks like I'm messing it up, but this is new for us to do this. And so we are going to give it 30, 60, 90 days and look at how it's affecting the sales, because the expectation is that we lower ours to be the lowest in the 4 airports that we compared on the back of that resolution. That will bring in more traffic and therefore more fuel revenue. So the idea is to take a look at that and see if that stands true.
Well, I understand that, but I guess normally you set a margin. You don't set a yearly price. I mean, you set a margin you work with.
Sure, they'd be happy to take your guidance on what we want to do going forward, because like I said, this is new.
Okay.
Yeah, we agree with this. It feels a little cumbersome the way we're doing it. Our thought, the discussion that Misty and I have had is we're going to take a look at what our sales do over the next 3 months, and our thought is the thoughts we've been getting from the Airport Advisory Committee is we should see an increase in sales by dropping the price, because what we've been told is that pilots will fly 100 miles out of their way to save a few pennies per gallon.
Well, and I don't want to be the highest, but I also don't want to lose money either.
Right.
If you set a price by resolution and buy another load and it ends up costing money, that's not too smart.
Right, and we don't want to lose money.
And we buy 7,000 gallons at a time. It's 7,000 to 8,000 gallons at a time. So just because the price changes today doesn't mean the price per gallon we pay for don't change. And at this time, we still have a decent margin on the sale of fuel.
Okay.
Yeah.
If my figures are right, we're going to make $1.35 a gallon. We'll make $9,448.65 off all about.
We have processing fees for the merchant terminal, and then we have terminal fees for the software and the pod. So depending on how you're calculating that, it's not exactly per gallon how much you're making, because you're not taking away those expenses that are related to it.
So we're not going to make nearly what I said?
Huh?
How much are the fees for?
About 2.5% to 3%.
Per gallon?
No, per dollar amount. Those are merchant charges.
Is there also a charge for credit cards when?
That is the fee we're talking about.
It's merchant.
That is the purchase.
Yes.
We're still making a decent profit, but yeah, it's something we need to look at and respond to, especially if our next load isn't as as good a price as we got this load.
I would clarify, we're still paying for the fueling system too. So we have not reached the point of making any profit because we're still paying for it. So
I thought we got a grant for that.
No.
Oh, the grant, the CARES grant we got was for operating costs.
And what you're talking about is the expense that we also paid to upgrade right after we bought it. So we can, it's still in the air, if we can use the FAA CARES grant money for our upgrade of the software, the fueling system, or the terminal. So that is in addition to the cost we had to buy it.
Yeah, I guess I was under the understanding we got a grant to pay for the new pumps and all that, but
Yeah, we bought them, and then we had to upgrade. And that grant's not for that, and whether or not we can submit for reimbursement for that is still being determined by the FAA.
What are the rates at the other four that you were comparing with?
They're on the back side of the resolution. We would be the lowest.
We were the highest.
Nope, we were right in the middle. There were two higher, two lower.
Oh, okay.
Did you find it, Dave? So to your point, Wes, about a margin, because this is what you've done forever. As Misty had said, we didn't establish a given margin. If we buy it for X amount of dollars, then we expect to make 50 cents a gallon above, whatever that wasn't decided. But what we were trying to address with this is giving a little more flexibility to adjusting the prices to whatever everybody else is selling, and trying to figure out who should make that decision. Should that be something that was made at the airport or with the airport advisory board, or should it be something the council approves? And with legal advice, the opinion is that the council is the folks that need to look at this and see if you like what's being presented and it makes sense to you. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Well, we're moving on into new business. Need a motion to approve a plat of Schumacher Tract of Phillips addition to the new town, now City of Hot Springs, Fall River County.
I make a motion to approve a plat of Schumacher Tract of Phipps addition to the town, now City of Hot Springs, Fall River County, South Dakota, formerly Tract 2 of City Acreage and Lot 6 in Phipps addition.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Our next new business item is possible motion discussion to set a public hearing on August 3rd, 2020 at 7:10 p.m. for a retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license application.
Make the motion to set public hearing on 8/3/20 at 7:10 p.m. for the retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license application from Steve, I'm going to tear this name up, Pepalua, DBA Mike's Place, to be used at 1645 University Avenue.
That's second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Item C, a possible motion or discussion to recognize and record the names of the 3 suppliers and their quotes received for the purchase of 6,999 gallons of 100 LL aviation gasoline.
Make a motion to recognize and record the names of the 3 suppliers and their quotes received for the purchase of 6,999 gallons of 100 LL aviation gasoline by the Hot Springs Airport as required by SDCL 5-18C-6, purchased from World Fuel at $3 per gallon. Other vendors were MG Oil at $3.54, and city service Valcon at 323.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And given that Dave just read a pretty lengthy agenda item here, I'd just like to share with the public that we've had a number of attorneys that have suggested that these agenda items be read in their entirety, as cumbersome as that may get sometimes. But the idea behind that is whoever is watching on video, if we simply make a motion to approve new business item C, they don't have agenda in front of them, they don't know what that motion is. So by reading it in its entirety, anybody that's watching the video knows what motion is being considered and voted on by the council. Item D, possible motion and discussion to authorize Southern Hills Golf Course Superintendent Jason Happy to enter into a trade contract with Quick Big Deals.
Make the motion to authorize Southern Hills Golf Course Superintendent Jason Happy to enter a trade contract with Click Big Deals, allowing for the sale of 40 vouchers, good for 18 holes of play. In the exchange, lost myself here, of play in exchange for $12,000 in advertising.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next agenda item, item E, possible motion discussion to amend the qualifying dates for the 2020 Evans Plunge Mineral Springs Lifeguard Annual Bonus requirements, previously approved on November 4th, 2019. And Caitlin spoke a little bit about that in her admin finance report.
I'll make a motion to amend the qualifying dates of the 2020 Evans Plunge Mineral Springs Lifeguard Annual Bonus requirements previously approved on November 4th, 2019. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic closure, dates to qualify will be changed from May 1 to August 31 to June 15th to October 15th, 2020.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I got a question here. I think we're setting a precedence here, giving just a certain employee a bonus just for showing up and doing their job. I mean, I don't think that's right. We don't give any other summer help any kind of a bonus, so I don't think that's right.
I think it was a recruitment and mostly a retention attempt to retain the help, because I think they were having a hard time keeping lifeguards.
I understand that, but we have a hard time keeping employees for the street department and everywhere else, and we don't offer them a bonus just for sticking it out.
I wouldn't agree that we have trouble keeping street department or.
We can't even fully staff him now. He's asking for help and we keep denying him, so.
He is fully staffed.
I disagree with that, I guess. He told me that the previous council approved more employees for him and he's been shot down, so.
I would be happy to have that discussion with you, Wes.
Okay.
As far as your conversation, your understanding of it. Because we're potentially talking personnel, but
Sure.
Let's see. This morning, we did have a new CWT worker start working with the city crew, trying to address the shortage that they have out there, and to the point as far as they're fully staffed. That statement is true. Now they may not be staffed adequately, but for the positions that they've been approved for, they are fully staffed with that. I recognize what you're saying.
Well, I know how the parks department, the street department, those guys they can't get anything done.
Yeah.
They're not doing justice to any of their jobs.
Yes. So I'd be happy to to have that conversation and share with you.
Okay?
I guess, last year I said the same thing Wes just said. And this year, we're talking about not making our payment because we don't have enough money. And we're trying to give money away so people work for us when they get paid for working for us. So I disagree too.
So my response to that, Craig, would be is while we're trying to generate more revenue by being open, if we don't have lifeguards available to us to provide the service while we're open, then it's a little difficult for us to generate that revenue.
So you saying the lifeguards are going to quit if they don't get that bonus?
I'm saying that it has been demonstrated in the past that lifeguards were not working through the summer. Yes, so that was the reason that the bonus was suggested and previous council approved it. All right. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Did you get those, Misty?
I did, thank you.
Thank you. Next agenda item, item F, is possible motion and discussion to authorize the finance officer to establish the 501 Hot Springs Capital Improvement Funds, equity, expense, and revenue accounts to be associated with the suspended sidewalk design and construction. My understanding of this motion is it's setting up a place to put the money if you approve the next agenda item. Is that correct?
Right.
All right.
Make the motion to authorize the finance officer to establish in a 501 Hot Springs Capital Improvement Funds, equity, expense, and revenue accounts to be associated with the suspended sidewalk design and construction.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right. Takes us to new business item G, a possible motion and discussion to authorize the finance officer to request the full $2.8 million from the state of South Dakota.
I make a motion to authorize the finance officer to request the full $2.8 million from the state of South Dakota for the design and construction of the suspended sidewalk.
I'll second motion.
Second? Thank you, sorry.
JR. Give me a chance to say that. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
And our last new business item, a possible motion, discussion to accept the resignation of Deborah Johnston from the Historic Preservation Commission and appoint Luke Broyles.
Make the motion to accept the resignation of Deborah Johnston from the Historic Preservation Commission and appoint Luke Broyles to fill the remaining term of 2020 to 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? So before I ask you to vote on this, I want to say once again to Deborah, thank you for taking this step. You and I talked about why I agree with this. And again, I want to commit publicly that if you decide council is not in your future, then I will ask the next council to reappoint you to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
All right. Misty, Finance Officer report.
Thank you. So for the second meeting, I don't give you those monthly financials in case you haven't noticed, so there's no numbers to pour over. But I do like to just give a little update of what we've been working on since we last met. Drafts of our 2021 budget spreadsheets have been sent to department heads. Those were sent Friday. In all funds, they've been sent out. We are looking at a deficit over $200,000 in our general fund. We'll be working on to see if we can get that a little bit smaller before you begin your budget deliberations. We'll be meeting with city administrator and mayor to review the complete revenue and expenditure spreadsheets that we have to date. and I will have those available for council to pick up by Friday, and also send out the Excel spreadsheets if you like using spreadsheets. So you'll have some hard copies and you'll have a digital copy of what we'll be looking at next week on the 28th and 30th when we have our budget meetings, which will begin at 5 o'clock here at the Mueller Center. And the public is welcome to attend those. We did today receive the results of our loss control survey that was done about 6 weeks ago, 4 to 6 weeks ago. We have our improvement recommendations, and those have been sent out. I'm happy to say that there's a lot fewer recommendations than the last time we had our loss control survey. And I did send the information to each of you, and the recommendation responses I'll also share with each of you. We did receive our audit acceptance letter from the Department of Legislative Audit. I did send the letter out to each of you. That means they took the information, they accepted it as presented, and it is on their website for distribution as well as ours. And it will be posted, the acceptance will be posted in our newspaper. We've been talking a lot about some agreements and contracts, so keep your eyes out for these. We're hoping to have these on the next meeting for consideration. There's a pool space rental agreement between Fall River Health and Evans Plunge. We have an equipment rental for wheel loader with Butler Cat. And we have the use of Butler Park, the South Dakota Wildland Fire use of Butler Park in the event of a wildland fire emergency. Those are all agreements that are currently with our attorney for review, and we hope to have them ready to be presented to you at the next council meeting. Got a draft of the ordinance revision for our general regulations, Title IX. We are still working on other revisions and updates. I have been completing the documents to change signers on all city accounts since our recent election. I will be working, now that you've approved it, to establish the 501 fund equity revenue and expense accounts to receive and account for the $2.8 million we're getting from the state in relation to the sidewalks. I think it makes sense for the city to request that entire amount and have it and spend it as we see fit, as opposed to requesting draws or drafts from the state. I have been working with Black Hills Council of Local Governments, Jennifer Seamsta, who is, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, Seamsma, who is going to help us request the COVID relief fund money from the state. I've been bouncing questions off her, and she helped with the resolutions that we just passed, getting those updated on that website, and then determining what types of expenses are going to be reimbursable through that fund. We talked a little bit already about the FAA CARES Act money that was received and accepted. We have one more agreement that'll be on the next agenda from the DOT for that, and then we can begin requesting draws from that approved $30,000. We've got a lot of grants we've been working on that you've been approving, and we're trying to keep up with not just the applications, but the remittances for those, following all the guidelines. We've got grants going for both Jennings and Minnetonka Bridge. We can get the Jennings Bridge done this year, and then our next step will be Minnetonka, and what you approved tonight allows for a grant request for the preliminary engineering, which includes several steps and puts us in a better place when it comes to the next construction big grant application cycle. Thank you to those of you that attended the municipal budget workshop. There's a replay available on the SDML website. It was fun to hear John say that he had heard all the words repeated that I say all the time. Though the time that we spend on those workshops and SDML trainings is very well spent, and Broad Fork is super fun to listen to, so I'm glad Joe got a chance to do that. And if you are interested in the replay, check it out. I'm happy to announce that we've restarted with department head meetings and attorney calls before the council meetings. I think those are both great steps moving forward with our new mayor, and thank you for seeing the potential in those and keeping up doing those activities. And John, thank you for scheduling and organizing the department head meetings. That's a big job. I hope all of you have seen the new softball scoreboard. We arranged a few years ago to have some wonderful community members donate the time they spend with that recreation activity They take the salaries and wages we would have paid them and they put it into a fund, and then they use that money for softball, baseball, and t-ball improvements. And this year they were able to get an electronic scoreboard. It is up and running. We have been working with the county on the new legislation regarding discretionary formulas. We do have a residential tax discretionary formula ordinance that references a state law that has changed. The county's working on their updates, and updates to ours will be coming to reference the new state laws. And then I was wondering if any of you saw the City of Hot Springs highlight in the July South Dakota Municipal League magazine. They highlighted our city, and I'd like to thank Justin from the Chamber of Commerce for helping me with the pictures and to write that lovely article highlighting our beautiful town. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Misty. John, before we move on to you, I had neglected to mention when you folks were discussing setting up the 501 Hospital Capital Improvement Fund, that I believe I was still on council and it was in Public Works, that Craig had asked the question, well, why don't we just get all of our $2.8 million and why don't we make a dime on it rather than the state keeping the money? And my response was, well, every time council gets money, they seem to find a way to spend it. So I was concerned with getting $2.8 million, and when we needed it for what it was given to us for, it might not be there. And then the conversation just kind of waned. Misty brought it back up, and we had the discussion, and finance is doing everything they can to make it difficult for us as a city to indiscriminately spend that money. And by setting up the account, then we are able to receive all of it and make a few dollars on it towards the sidewalk. Thank you for doing that, and I just wanted to share that with you. John, you're up next.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to welcome all the new council members and remind everyone that I'm available to take you around to see the different departments, meet the department heads. They would all like to meet you and show off what they do. It'd be a good opportunity. If you've got a question about some particular department and how it operates, I'd be glad to take you around and show them off. It's been busy since the last council meeting. Jennings Bridge is really getting underway now. The contractor is mobilized, taking down the signs and the street lights. The bridge removal is scheduled to begin tomorrow. In conjunction with that, our streets, parks, cemetery, and maintenance people have all gathered together and been working on Garden Street with the help of utilities today, trying to get that ready to open up in conjunction with the bridge coming out. That has been a big project, and I think we'll have a really good road. We're going from 8-foot lanes to 12-foot lanes when this road opens up, which will allow our ladder truck to get past a car when they meet them coming around that corner. And instead of having an ugly guardrail up there, we did put boulders around the top to have some sense of the limits of that road and a shoulder. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on our Fall River Channel, they were scheduled for an inspection in late August. We've been making plans to make some kind of progress on doing some operations and maintenance improvement so they can see that we're doing something. That's been a big push with Dave Burris and Public Works, and I'm hopeful that we'll get some things done between now and the end of August. Our suspended sidewalk project is moving along. They have a September deadline for preliminary drawings, so we've had the opportunity to not only meet with ISG, but also FMG of Rapid City. They're the consultant doing the state portion of the work, which is the road design. So integrating the two projects into one project does require a lot of coordination. You throw in the fact that our utilities is another project within that whole scope. It's a lot of interaction between all three groups. They did the Geotechnical Investigation, which was a drilling study you saw going on last week and the week before. American Testing out of Rapid City got that work done. We've had a lot of adjustments and getting used to committee meetings. We've had employee meetings, department head meetings, and city hall staff meetings with the new mayor. We're hopefully making all the adjustments to have a very, very good year. We started budget talks with Ernest. I met with several of the departments. We talked about the required things that they had and their wish list. Hopefully that we can get some of these things done this year. Like Misty said, we do have kind of an overreach now, so we'll be doing some trimming. There seems to be some areas that appear they could be trimmed and not hurt us. Mueller Center, their roof repair has been put off for quite a while, but we did get the geogrid installed and have air conditioning again, so that's a plus. We're also looking at some city set aside for some building repairs to City Hall. There are some issues there that have been overlooked for a time now, and we need to seriously think about getting some of those improvements done. July 15th, Evans Plunge moved into their Phase 2 protocol. They added 50 additional patrons at a time, so they're up to 175, which has really opened up the tourism to come in and use the facility, and they're not turning people away. Old Homes and Camp Avenue Workforce Housing has the foundations in place now and the backfill continuing. They expect to get the houses in before the end of the month. As for city work, got never-ending ordinance revisions always going on, numerous nuisance complaints, committee meetings. Always glad to have people skip over and come to other meetings. It's always nice to get new questions and new excitement in our meetings. Thank y'all.
I had 5 items I was going to share with you between Dave and John. They stole 2 of my items. The first one I want to mention is a message that I got from Captain Wayman, and I wanted to share with everyone. I had a man fall today by the Audit Bridge. This was last week, not today. He was bleeding pretty heavily. It left a good trail on the roadway. I called Billy Morrow for assistance to help me clean up the mess. He immediately said he would help me clean it up. Just wanted to pass on that this teamwork is amazing. I also want to personally thank the city staff for coming together whenever necessary to help each other out. It's important that we do that where we can. The heat exchanger has been talked about a number of times, but I encourage everyone to take a look at the grid from the bridge to the east of the Mueller Center. It's pretty noticeable right now, but Mother Nature will quickly grow around the tubing and it will look like it's always been there. Garden Street, crews have been doing a great job of widening the road. I want to thank them for the work. As has been talked about, this will be the access route for the duration of the bridge replacement project, and one more time, that starts tomorrow. So Garden Street will be the only access to the west side of Fall River, between Brookside, around the area of Brookside Apartments and Chamberlain College Funeral Home. Dave, Craig, John, Tracy, and myself met with Dave Batchelor on Friday, July 17th to discuss the cleanup of the river channel between the Jennings and Dakota bridges. Dave had previously worked with a group of individuals with the same goal in mind. Dave had some good suggestions that the city will need to look into, chief among them, how to fund the cleanup. Misty has created a new expense object fund code titled Fall River Channel Repairs to budget for and track repairs to the flood channel. I'll be asking the council to approve money in the 2021 budget for this fund. The replacement of the Jennings Bridge is beginning. The Highway 385 reconstruction project with bump outs for decorative plantings, along with the suspended sidewalk project, will begin in the spring of 2021. As a city, we would miss a rare opportunity if we don't do everything we can to focus our efforts on cleaning up the river channel between Jennings and Dakota bridges. Once that's done, we then need to move both north and south along the channel, completing flood wall repairs and removing cattails and other weeds from the channel. John talked about it a little bit. I've been meeting with employees and department heads to hear how they feel the city is doing to meet their expectations, and I shared some thoughts I'd like them to focus on. One easy place to start is to use the power of bulk purchases for like items used by every department. Office supplies are an example of somewhere to start. I asked the department heads to pass along to the folks that do their purchasing to begin working with Mary to build a list of supplies she can place bulk orders for in an effort to save taxpayer dollars. Individually, saving $5 or $10 on an order may not seem like much, but that small amount of savings when applied to all the departments adds up quickly. So I want to see how this works out, and where we can, I'd like to expand bulk ordering. JR is a great resource for that. That's what he did most of his career with the VA. I think we have some, as Dave would say, opportunities in front of us. They're not problems, they're opportunities, and if we look at it that way, I think we can accomplish good things. With that, that's the end of my report. If you're so inclined, anybody want a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed or welcome to stay? Thank you.